This is footage straight out of the camera, and this is the same footage 10 minutes later. JMO here. Today I'm taking you through the entire color page inside DaVinci Resolve, one shot, fully graded, and you'll understand every adjustment that I make and why. 5 parts, a quick tour of the color page, our color management, color correction, into our look development, and finally, how I do all of it in a fraction of the time. Okay, so Shift 6 to bring up the color page. This is where you're going to be doing all your color grading inside DaVinci. Let's have a quick look at the layout, where things sit, where our tools live. So in the top left here, we've got our gallery. I've got my shortcut as Command 1 to open the gallery. And this is where all our PowerGrades are going to live. You'll want to start building out your PowerGrade libraries on the left side here. I've got my tools such as my CST, I've got primary corrections, I've got film looks, curves, color, I've got my power windows and my signature looks. Next we've got our node window. So I have Command 3 to bring up my node window. And this is where you will do all your grading. This is where you'll build out node trees, where you'll do your color space transforms, your primary corrections, your look development. Everything will be done here in your nodes window. So we'll come to that shortly. Here we have effects. So these are where all the effects live inside the color page. And what you can do in the effects is you can actually go in and star them. So ones that you're using quite regularly and your favorites can all be saved. To access your favorites, just click this little button here, the 3 dots. If I press Option S, I'll add a serial node into this window, and you can just keep pressing Option S to add them. You can also right click and add a node here. We've got different types of nodes, which we'll not get into in this video, but for reference, this is where all your nodes live. So in the panel, we've got our primary color wheels, we've got our HDR color wheels, our curves, we've got our ColorSlice, our qualifier, our power windows. So you'll be using this panel a lot, so it's really important that you get familiar where everything lives. On the right, we've got our scopes, the waveforms, and your vector scope will keep you right with your color, your exposure. So it's important that you do learn these. So up here, we've got clip and we've got timeline. So when clip's selected, any changes done in the node window will apply to this clip only. When I select timeline, any changes done in here, this is going to be done at the timeline level. So every single piece of footage is going to be affected by any change here when you're inside timeline. Okay, so we're going to set up our project settings in DaVinci. And to do that, we'll head down here to project settings. Then we'll head over to color management. We'll make sure DaVinci YRGB selected. Then we'll make sure DaVinci Y Gamut, DaVinci Intermediate selected for timeline color space. And for output color space, I work to Rec 709 Gamut 2.2. So I color grade for a lot of Instagram footage, for YouTube. So I work to Gamut 2.2. We'll head over to our nodes and we'll make sure we're selecting clip here, and I'll just add a blank node. Okay, so there's a 3-step process to this, and you don't need to fully understand it now, but essentially what we're doing is we're taking the log footage, we're bringing it into our timeline, our working color space where we do all the grading, and then we'll transform it out to Rec 709, our display space. So to do that, I'll need a CST, which is a color space transform. So if I head over to my gallery here, I've got my CSTs all built out as tools in my PowerGrade album. And I've got one here for Sony. So because this is Sony S-Log3, I'll use this. So I'll drag it into my node window. And what you'll see happen is 2 nodes pop up. And if I open the effects, I can have a look at what's happening here. So this first one is taking the Sony log footage and it's transforming it into DaVinci Wide Gamut. And then the second one is taking that DaVinci Wide Gamut and it's outputting it to Rec 709 2.2. Okay, so the first step of any color grading is color correction. And I'll head over to my gallery here. So if I go to my primaries, and you can see here I've got a basic corrections PowerGrade. So what I'll do is just add a node after the CST in, and I'll just drag this one onto that node. And what's happened here is I've got an exposure node, a white balance node, and a contrast node. So that's already built inside my PowerGrade album here. So very quick and easy to drag and drop. This clip is exposed pretty well. You know, I've got good highlight detail here. I've got good shadow detail. I'll go down to the primary color wheels. Now, if I look at the offset, if I bring that up, if I want to brighten the image, I'll lift the offset. Now, I will come back to contrast and bring contrast into this shot. So I don't mind lifting it for now and then working off that. Secondly, I've got my white balance node. So this node is in a linear color space. So if I just right click, go to gamma, make sure linear is selected. What this will do is it'll allow me to adjust my white balance more precisely, closer to as if I was adjusting it in camera. If I need to adjust the white balance, what I'll do is I'll go down to the gain here and I've got my RGB channels. So now we can start adjusting the white balance using RGB. So if I bring up the red, bring down the red, you can start to see how the image changes. So I do want to cool it off a bit, push up the blues and then do before and after. So you can see I've just cooled the image slightly. I've taken off that sort of yellow warm look. Making these global adjustments is going to look better down the line. Instead of going into, the blue regions here and just adjusting the blue or adjusting the reds, we're doing it from a holistic level. And that's how you should do color correction. You don't want to be doing color correction in your secondaries. It's always in your primaries here. So next we want to start bringing some contrast into this shot. So this contrast, I've set the pivot to 0.336. That is the middle gray point in DaVinci Wide Gamut. And remember, everything in between these two nodes is in DaVinci Wide Gamut. And it's good practice to do that. So whenever you come to work with skin tones, you'll want to make sure you've got your middle gray locked. So you're not making big pulls or pushes on the skin tones, the mid-tones. What I'll do is I'll just put the saturation to 0. Now we can look at the image from a tonal perspective only. So what I'll do is I'll start pulling down the lift, start darkening the shadows. I'll start lifting up the highlights, and you can see I'm starting to bring in a bit of contrast into this shot. Go into my curves here, hold down the shadows a little bit, then I'll just roll those off. Same with the shadows, I'll just lift those off. So now if I go back to the saturation, I'll go back, set it to 50, and now you can see I've got contrast in this shot. So looking at that before and after, you can see I've got nice contrast in the image. Okay, so we've added contrast, and the first thing you'll notice is when we add contrast into the scene, we also get a jump in the saturation. So if I just pull up my vector scope and have a look before, you can see the vectors are more compressed, closer to the center, meaning less saturation. When I add contrast, you can see those vectors pushing out towards the edge of the circle, which means more saturation. So what we'll want to do is we'll just want to dial back the saturation to cool it off a little bit. So you'll notice the red and the blues are still pushed out on the vector scope. That's because the saturation slider in the primary color wheels cannot isolate specific hues. So I'll address those hues specifically with a different tool in the look development stage. So right now the image is clean, but it's still a little bit flat. The colors are reading a little bit digital. I actually want to take this to something that looks a little bit softer, but I want to keep that richness in the colors. Everything that I build here, I'll show you how I do it in a fraction of the time once we've completed this look. So next up, we're going to add 3 nodes after the CST out. Grain to the first node. The second node is going to be a color space transform. And this third node is going to be our film LUT. So I'm going to use the Rec 709 Kodak 2383. So let's look what happens when I apply it. Okay, so the image looks terrible. The film LUTs inside DaVinci, they are expecting to receive a Cineon film log profile. Right now, if I look at this CST out, it's receiving a Rec 709 Gamma 2.2. What we're going to do is we're going to take that Rec 709 Gamma 2.2 and we're going to output that to Cineon film log. And now the LUT is working. So what we're going to do is we're going to take these 2 nodes, right click, and then create a compound node. We go into our key output. So I'm going to bring this down to about 0.2. After the contrast node, I'm going to add 5 more nodes. I'm going to leave these 2 blank for now. We'll come back to these. This one is going to be our color slice. This one is going to be our split zone. And this is going to be our contrast pop. So the ColorSlice tool in DaVinci, what it does is it qualifies a range of colors and it blends them seamlessly. So it basically gives us a really powerful tool to adjust our hue, our saturation, and the density of the colors. So let me show you how it works. If I just press Shift H, we're going to turn on this window here, which is our highlight. Let me just select red. You can see exactly what this red channel is selecting. What I can do is if I go to the center here, I can start moving the center point of which part of the hue on the red vector is going to be selected. So let's have a look. I'll just pull it left and right. So you can see now we're going off those reds on the shop. Pull it to the right, we're selecting more. So let's go through, we'll go through each of the vectors here. So the next step is we're going to change the hue. Okay, so remember we flagged those reds earlier when we added contrast. Now we've got a perfect select on those reds, so we can really target in and start fine tuning how they look. So the first step is we're going to adjust the hue. So with the reds, I want to push them to orange. So I'm going to just drag this to the left and keep an eye on the vector scope. As I drag, you can see that red line moving towards orange. And then if I go to the yellow, I'm going to push those up to orange as well. So have a look at how the yellows are now moving to orange. Keep an eye on the vector scope. You can see those two vectors compressing in towards orange. That's exactly what I want to do. So before and after, and already we're getting a much nicer response from the image. We're going to come back and adjust our saturation and our density. So let's just focus on hue for now. So that's our hue adjustments. Now let's look before and after. You can see everything getting compressed on the one nice line. That's our teal and orange line. So that's how we start to build this film look. The reds are still pushed out and the cyans and blues are still pushed out. So let's go in and adjust our saturation. So with the red, I'm just going to pull them back a bit, pull down the yellows a touch, and you can see how we're really just targeting in on specific hues with really, really isolated targeted adjustments. Okay, so remember earlier when I said I wanted to achieve a rich looking image? We're going to do that. We're going to achieve that by using the density tool inside the ColorSlice. Let me just show you what normal saturation looks like. So I'm just going to pull saturation up, keep an eye on the image. You can start to see those reds getting brighter. It's becoming more electric, more neon looking. That is not the look that we want. If I add saturation in the ColorSlice, let's add that up. And then with the density tool, which is here, if I pull it to the right, look how the colors become more dense and thicker and richer versus that electric looking brightness that we get with the global saturation tool in the primaries. What we're going to do is we're going to target each of those vectors. So we targeted the hue, we targeted the saturation. Now we're going to target the density to get that really rich filmic look. So let's go into our red vector here. I'm just going to pull up that density. Now keep an eye on the shop signage. As I pull it up, those reds are starting to become more rich, deeper, and just looking much better already. So you can see if I pull it down, it gets brighter. If I pull it up, it just becomes like thick and dark. Okay, so with the ColorSlice, we've adjusted our hue, our saturation, and our density, and we're starting to get that really rich looking image that we were working towards. So the soft part will come later, but for now, we're going to move into split toning, one of the most crucial steps in your color grading. So the film LUT and the ColorSlice got us most of the way, but split toning is what's going to bring it all together and really give us that separation in the image between the highlights and the shadows. So if I just go to split toning here, up the effects, I'll drag. This is going to look really harsh when I drag it on, and that's not the look we want to achieve. So what I actually want to do with this is I want to keep the highlights warm and I want to make the shadows cool. Let me just pull the strength down and then I'll just pivot so we get more blue in the shadows and those highlights remain red and not green. So you can see that happening here with the preview influence. And then I'll just go to the hue angle and I'll just make sure I've got that right teal in the shadows. There we go. So let's have a look now. If I just bring up the strength a little bit so you can see. So that's the split toning. Let's see before. You can see we've got a red cast across the whole frame. You can see in the shadows, it's kind of red. Nothing separated between highlights and shadows. As soon as I add split toning, you can see that we've introduced blue into those shadow regions, and we've kept the highlights warm. Okay, so next I want to soften the image. So we're going to turn on these two nodes here, and then I'm going to head over to my gallery into primaries, and I've got fade shadows here, and then I've got flat highlights here. This is a log wheel adjustment, so I'll just go into my log wheels, and you can see here shadows are lifted. I'm just going to bring that back down, and then with our highlights, we can see we've got an adjustment at the top end of the signal, so keep an eye at the top end of the waveform, and you can see it coming down, going up. We just want to roll those off. So you can see I've just softened the top end and the bottom end of the signal, and we've got a much softer filmic look. So next, over to the last node, which is contrast pop. So the contrast pop is a very, very small adjustment. We've kind of flattened out the image, so I just want to bring back a little bit of structure into the image with a contrast pop. So let me just go up here, drag it in, and let's zoom in. This is going to be a very subtle change. We don't want to be making any big adjustments at this part of the color grade. So let's keep an eye on the shadows there. You can see darkening up, bit more contrast, very, very subtle change, but we're just bringing a little bit of structure back into those shadow regions, before and after, just so we don't completely flatten out the image. So remember that once you've completed a look and you've done all that work, always right click and grab still, and just save your look, save your work, so you can come back to it and you're not restarting everything from scratch. And that's exactly how I build everything in a fraction of the time. So if I go to my gallery here, down to my signature looks, and I've got 6 looks already built in here, and I like Ember Soft. You can see already, if I drag that in, we're getting pretty close to where we were with the edit. So now all we need to do is go in and make fine-tune adjustments to the image. So you can see in a fraction of the time, we've got pretty close to the look that we just spent, over 10 to 15 minutes working on. So that's the full color page, start to finish. You've corrected footage, you've built a look, and you know exactly what every single node is doing. That's the difference between dragging and dropping a preset and actually understanding the grade. You can save time in all your edits by clicking the link below. I've got the full DaVinci PowerGrade album there for you. Thanks again for supporting the channel. I'll see you in the next video.